In the absence of the Mayor, who is at another meeting right now, I'd like to call for a nomination for a presiding officer for the regular meeting of Council. Councillor Lalonde?
Me? I will propose Mr. Minor again.
Do I have a seconder? Mr. Roy? All in favour?
Thank you, Alison. So you have an agenda that I'm sure you've looked at. So any request to add anything to the agenda? Monsieur Duval?
7.7.3, I'd like to policy regarding snow removal from the Public Works.
No other? So we move to adopt the agenda with the add or as amended. Proposed by Mr. Bigelow and supported by Mr. Duval. Supported by, sorry. I'll get the hang of it. In favor? Thank you. Item 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest on any item that appear, including the add-on. Seeing none, we have no presentation by council, no presentation or committees. First is staff report, planning. So we're ongoing planning projects. Madame Laforêt.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a small update regarding the short-term rental bylaw. I know that in the planning project list, it said we were bringing it today. Unfortunately, I didn't make the deadline on that one, so we'll have it to you soon, but I just wanted to note that it's coming. It just hasn't been done yet.
Thank you. So we pass this resolution. Be it resolved that the ongoing planning project list, as presented by the senior planner on September 28, 2023, be received and filed. Need a mover? Mr. Barton, and seconded by Madame Clement. Discussion? In favor? Adopted. Thank you. 7.1.2, zoning bylaw amendment application, La Ferme Tabouat, file Z-04-2023. Madame Laforêt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just a final report for the proposed zoning bylaw amendment for lands on Green Lane Road. It's just to provide council with confirmation that we haven't received any additional comments and that council can proceed with third reading of the bylaw.
Thank you.
I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the final Planning and Development Report Z04-2023 regarding a proposed zoning amendment on Concession 3, Lot 14, municipally known as 1438 Green Lane Road, in the former township of West Hawkesbury, now in the township of Champlain, be received and filed. Be it further resolved that bylaw 2023-51 be brought forward for the third and final reading.
Thank you, Alison. Proposed by Mr. Roy, seconded by Mr. Duval. Discussion? In favor? Approved. 7.1.3, zoning bylaw amendment application, Wilson, file Z-05-2023. Madame Laforêt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is simply the staff report that accompanied the presentation earlier regarding the rezoning from R1 to R2. If there's no further concerns from council, we would recommend that the bylaw be brought forward for first and second reading.
I'll read the resolution reads, be it resolved that Planning Department report Z Z05-2023 regarding a proposed zoning amendment on lands municipally known as 56 Pendleton Street, former Wilson Farm, also known as Part Lot R, Plan 35, in the former town of Van Cleek Hill, be received and filed. Be it further resolved that bylaw 2023-55 be brought forward for the first and second reading.
Thank you, Allison. Proposed by Mr. Duval, seconded by Mrs. Bigelow. Question, discussions? In favor? Approved. Thank you. Seven. 7.1.4, zoning bylaw amendment application, housekeeping amendments, file Z-06-2023.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just like the similar one, this is the staff report related to the presentation for the public meeting. If there's no further concerns from council, we would recommend that the bylaw be brought forward for first and second reading.
Thank you, Madame Lafrey.
The resolution reads, be it resolved that Planning Department Report Z06-2023 regarding proposed housekeeping amendments for the Champlain Township zoning bylaw 2000-75 be received and filed. Be it further resolved that bylaw 2023-56 be brought forward for the first and second reading.
Thank you, Allison. Proposé par Madame Clément, appuyé de Monsieur Roy. Question? En faveur? Approved. 7.1.5, Planning Report, PED-02-2023, Public Consultation Results, Backyard Hens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the final report regarding backyard hens. Many of you might have been on the edge of your seat waiting for this. I do receive quite a few calls about this, so I'll be happy to let people know that the public consultation period has ended, and we received quite a number of survey responses on this one, as well as the subsequent item on the agenda. And we've made some modifications to the proposed bylaw for a pilot program. And if council doesn't have any further concerns, we would recommend bringing forward bylaw 2023-60 to start a pilot program for backyard hens.
Thank you.
The resolution reads, be it resolved that Planning Department Report PED-02-2023 regarding a backyard hen pilot program be received and filed. Be it further resolved that bylaw 2023-60 be brought forward for first, second, and third reading.
Thank you, Allison. Further questions? A question? Mr. Burrows?
Madame Laforêt, at one of the meetings we had discussed, I had brought up the concerns in regards to, in my ward, which is rural, and we did speak about fencing within the villages like L'Ornial, Van Cleek Hill, subdivisions that are close to one house. I see nothing that reflects in your report any distinction for rural residential houses. And what I mean by that is that people that are living on 2 acres, 3 acres, are they going to have to fence themselves in? That's my point, and I didn't see it, unless it's there and I just overread it, but...
The way that I thought what this would work is that the portion of the property, so it's common in rural settings to have a portion of the property that's fenced. People don't necessarily put a fence on the property line. However, I agree that it might not be a strict council could amend the bylaw for it not to be a strict requirement in a rural setting. I think the fence requirement is something that we heard in the survey comments that was important in an urban setting, but I agree it might be difficult or prohibitive for property owners in a rural or agricultural setting on a residential lot. So,
Mr. Burrows?
can we ask that an amendment be made to, and I'm thinking my ward, which is Longueuil, and also maybe West Hawkesbury. There's a lot of rural communities. So just to, I totally agree with the fencing within urban areas, because you don't want, the chickens going on your neighbor's lawn. But when you're living out in areas like we do, and the areas that we represent, it's not the same life as living within the village.
So, our standard for a rural lot is 1 or 2 acres, one under the previous, and so maybe a fence requirement is based on the lot size. A lot size under what it would be like 1 acre. We have a lot of small, undersized rural lots as well. So I'm trying to think of like a rural cluster where there's lot sizes of 0.3 acres. Would we require a fence in that situation? Maybe 0.5 of anything smaller than 0.5 of an acre. I think we're probably better to have a fence in that situation, but council can tweak that number if it wants to.
Would that be something you want to propose as an amendment?
Yes, I would, Mr. President. I believe there's a necessity for it, and it would reflect, like subdivisions within the ward. I have no problems with, requiring fencing because the houses are close to one another. But where you have the acreage that can take, having 2 chickens on your land, I don't think we should go to fences.
Monsieur Roy?
I agree with the comments from Monsieur Burrows. However, I feel that maybe the 0.5 is a little low because, for example, Elisa or the new development that's been built, we're looking at least 1 acre property. So then you could have a problem there with maybe the 1 acre is a better number.
So it's hard to think about every situation, like in an estate subdivision where there's a certain look and feel. It might not, neighbors might expect there to be a fence, but there isn't. Council could consider going up to 1 acre if it wanted to.
Would this satisfy Mr. Burrows? We have to speak on the proposition. Has anybody supported Mr. Burrows' proposition? Mr.
I have a question, Mr. Chair, which will inform me and maybe allow me to support Mr. Burrows. But for my understanding, Jennifer, a pen itself that these animals are kept in, does that constitute the fencing, or does it need a proper 52-inch or whatever the requirement is for a fence outside of that? Does the pen work as the fence?
So no, there's a coop. There are some standards provided for the coop, and there needs to be an outdoor run, but the entire enclosure needs to be. The idea is that the entire enclosure is screened from the neighbor's view. But the fence requirement, as referenced in the bylaw, would simply be a fence that is deemed suitable by the township. So there's no, I don't believe we've put in a height restriction. So as long as it's a fence that is supported by the building department, it would constitute a fence in terms of our licensing.
Mr. Chair, if you'll permit, so a fence in this situation then would not be the same as a fence surrounding a pool or some other type of hazard where legal fence is required. This could be something smaller, more decorative.
Yeah, the regulation is intended to screen the coop.
I think I have a question now. We've established in there about coops. So if you're in a position where you have a coop, or you have to have a coop, you don't need another fence.
So I think perhaps the comments from the residents, there was concern about chickens roaming. But it is a requirement of the bylaw that the chickens be inside the coop at all times.
Mr. Burrows?
This is getting to be quite the issue, but we're talking about chickens, but we've got wild turkeys, we've got birds landing from all over the place. I just think somehow I understand within the villages, Lorgnal and subdivisions, I understand, but for me, I've got wild turkeys roaming all over the place on my property. Like, I don't think that if I had chickens, it would be any different, you know? I just don't see the need within my ward, which is Nogay. I really don't. I could see it in a subdivision, that there are subdivisions within my ward, but don't see it elsewhere within our area.
So if I understand this correctly, what we're looking at is the rural area, but not in the subdivisions. Like, same thing as I have in West Hawkesbury. There are subdivisions in West Hawkesbury. Now, they would fall under what we already have in there. So you're looking at giving a little bit more leeway to the people that live outside the subdivisions. But sometimes they're very close to it. I mean, if I have a 3-acre lot that abuts a subdivision, I'm a neighbor there. I don't know.
That's exactly my view, Mr. Minor.
Do we have a seconder to the motion?
Point of order, Mr. Chair. What number did my friend arrive at? Was it 0.5 of an acre? Is where you're at, Mr. Burrows?
That's what we were talking about, but my point is if it's a subdivision, then there has to be fencing. But if it's elsewhere in the country, I don't see the need of it.
That's complex because just as a point of clarification, we do have rural subdivisions. Yeah. So my recommendation wouldn't be to prohibit it in subdivisions, but would be to add a regulation about lot size.
Mr. Barton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What would your recommended lot size be?
You know, maybe the intent, like this is a pilot program, we're trying to test to see how the program works before we do something longer term. So maybe start on the conservative side at an acre, and you know, if they're minor accessory things that nobody sees and we don't get too many complaints, then we could reduce that over time.
Mr. Barton?
Mr. Burrows, would you accept the amendment at over an acre? And then I'd be willing to support that or second it.
To 1 acre, I agree.
I so second.
So we have a resolution that the lots of 1 acre or larger will not need fencing. Is this what? Okay. Any discussions, questions? Mr. Lalonde?
So if I understand, Mr. Burrows, if somebody wants to have chicken in town or subdivision, the lot need to be fenced, right?
That's my view of it, Mr. Lalonde.
Thank you.
Mr. Gauthier?
Just food for thoughts. By experience, I've at least 2 properties in the township, which were one close to 10 acres, the other one close to 5 acres, and they had the hens running all around. Some of them were on the roads. We've had complaints about those. So take your decision.
I read the pilot project, but I was under the impression that if you were going to have chickens, didn't matter where, they had to be in a coop. So if they have to be in a coop, you don't need the fence. I didn't realize that they would be free.
So the fence is to screen the coop. The chickens are required, under the regulations that we've proposed as a pilot program, the chickens are required to be in the coop, and the fence is required to screen the coop. So it's like, it's an added level of protection to make sure chickens aren't roaming, especially in urban areas. That would be a little unusual to see. But the intent is maybe to start more restrictive and then gradually phase that out if there are no concerns. Initially, we had removed the fence requirement, but we had flagged it in the previous staff report. It's something that was brought forward from the public consultation that we received as an item that they wanted to see to make sure that they were in fenced yards. But I don't know if the residents that responded to the survey understood that the chickens are required to be in the coop at all times.
Monsieur Roy?
Just for clarification, I would tend to say that minimum 1 acre and under you need to fence. Because if you've got the 1 acre and the way you've worded it a while ago is they would be acceptable for not having that fence. So 1 acre and under would need a fence.
I'll take the question from Madame Bigelow.
So now I'm a little bit confused, it seems, the more we're talking about this. Was this whole project, the backyard hens, for people in residential areas? Was that not the whole point? We kind of already figured that anyone who lived in the country had chickens running around all over the place. Was this backyard hen project specifically designed and done for, like, the town of Lornial and the town of Vankleekil? Is that not how we first brought this up, was that some residents in Vankleekil wanted some chickens?
Mm-hmm. So our demand for this program, or the interest, I would say, is from people that are in villages. And so that was always our first question was, do we want these in urban areas, and under what conditions would we think that it would be suitable? In rural context, once you're under a certain lot size, you don't have any agricultural rights. So the question of keeping chickens, which are livestock, on a residential property has always been a no. I think this is very much a bylaw that's intended for a settlement area, so like that village area. However, it would be something that would work as well for rural residential properties with that limited lot size.
So if I have a lot, which is 3/4 of an acre, I have to have a coop, and I have to fence that lot.
Under the recommendations that we've just provided, yes. No.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You need to fence that coop. You don't have to fence the full extent of the lot. You need to shield the coop from the neighbors to prevent, et cetera, et cetera. But to answer that question, and I have a question, Mr. Chair, when you're done.
That's the way I understood it. If those hens are inside a coop, I don't need the fence around the lot.
The hens are as a point of clarification, the hens are in the coop all the time, regardless if it's an urban or rural setting. The intention with the fence is to screen the coop. Sometimes the coops aren't really attractive looking, and they can look like a little bit like a farm, or it's a visual regulation, but it's also one that's intended to be an extra security measure in case the chickens ever get out.
I'm very confused. Mr. Burrows.
Should we give it more thought? Are we doing the right thing by coming up with a project like this? I realize it's more of a tryout, but this is, we're controlling birds and like I said, we've got wild turkeys going around. I've got fox, coyotes in my backyard. You know, like, I just find that we're overbearing now with control on people that are, you know, if they want 2 chickens, I realize you can't have 200 chickens on a property, but I agree.
If they're cooped, you can.
But I agree that it should be, you know, in villages or subdivisions, I understand. But I don't see it in the rest of the country. If you go out in my ward, drive around, got houses, and maybe the next house is, you know, a kilometer away. So what difference is it going to make if the 2 chickens are running in the field out there? That's my point. And I just think we're overreaching with our control on people within the township.
Well, we're actually trying to control the chickens, not the people, but Mr. Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a pilot project that has licenses required, and I presume some language in the documentation that for the removal of that license, should the owners not be good caregivers to their animals, et cetera, to qualify to Mr. Gautier's point, if you're allowing your chickens to run on the road, whatever. Might I suggest that we limit this, as it came to council, to the urban areas, and we remove West Hawkesbury and Longueuil as far as this project, pilot project goes, and we go with the language we have in place for those communities, but in the town of Anklekill and the town of Varignal, we allow this pilot project to run forward with the rules as you've established, and the potential to remove licenses if it's not working out for us.
In my case, the requests were made by people living in a subdivision in West Hawkesbury Township. I don't see any difference between a subdivision and the urban areas. I think where I have a problem is, for some reason, I thought you have a little hen house and you have a fence around it, and the hens stay in there. So from there, why the fence? Because somebody who decides they want 4 or 5 hens to get some eggs and whatever and see the hens, the expense of building the hen house and the fenced-in coop, and then on top of that, if their lot is not fenced in, and if it's fenced in with just a cedar hedge, is that considered okay, or is it not? So I don't know why we're going to the fence on the outside of the lot if we have them inside a coop. But by the way, I want to make a point that we have, if you're going to be doing it for the urban areas, you have to include the subdivisions, because they're in the same situation.
Okay, so like any property within a plan of subdivision or within an urban area would require a fence. Would require a fence for the hen license.
No. I'm trying to make my answer as quick
Maybe-
as possible.
maybe if
I'm repeating myself here.
No, I'm
What I'm
sorry.
saying is that I don't understand the need. The hens are inside this coop. They can't go out of there. Why do I need a fence on the outside of my lot?
So perhaps one recommendation would be to require a fence within a settlement area and to not require a fence in West Hawkesbury and in Longueuil.
Well, if I say that the urban areas and the subdivisions are the same, then that defeats the purpose. Monsieur Roy?
Moi, quand j'ai lu toute la documentation, là, j'étais sous l'impression que la coupe, c'est la cabane. Puis, tu sais, ils descendent en bas, puis ils vont se promener. Puis là, c'est la clôture autour. OK? Mais là, je me rends compte que on parle de 2 clôtures. Moi, je n'avais pas saisi ça. Je pensais qu'ils descendaient, là, puis qu'ils allaient marcher autour, puis que ça, c'était clôturé. Pour moi, ça, c'était le plan. Je vois difficilement aussi pourquoi il faudrait rajouter. Donc là, ils vont descendre, puis ils vont être dans cette coupe-là qui est clôturée. Je ne vois pas l'utilité d'y mettre l'autre clôture, même en ville, parce qu'ils vont déjà être à l'intérieur d'un endroit qu'ils ne peuvent pas sortir. Donc, il me semble que ce serait suffisant d'avoir ça en Ventricule, Lorgnal et les endroits résidentiels, ou si on veut aller avec un acte de terrain, mais effectivement qu'en campagne, ils peuvent se promener tant qu'ils veulent, mais il faut avoir des restrictions en ville ou dans le village. Mais j'étais sous l'impression que la coupe, c'était ça, là. Alors, excuse-moi si j'ai mal compris, là, mais moi, dans ma tête, je voyais la petite poule descendre, puis c'était ça, là.
Dans le pour bien éclaircir, dans le règlement, il y a la petite maison pour les poules, puis il y a quelque chose qui s'appelle the outdoor run. Fait que c'est renfermé, ça fait partie du couple, c'est à l'extérieur, mais les poules peuvent pas sortir. Puis après ça, on a la clôture. De quoi qu'on parle?
Mais moi, je voyais la outdoor run, mais je pensais que c'était ça ton autre clôture. Donc, quand ils descendent, ils sont dans leur outdoor run, je vois pas pourquoi il faut une autre clôture.
C'est ce que je voyais. C'est ce que je voyais moi aussi, à un moment donné. Puis je pense que si c'est un pilot project, moi, je le ferais comme ça. On exige que les poules ne soient pas libres. Okay? Ils peuvent être dehors, ils ont un run area, mais ça, c'est clôturé, puis ils ne peuvent pas sortir ailleurs dans le parterre. Dans tout ce qui est urbain et tout ce qui est des subdivisions en région rurale. Est-ce que c'est ça qu'on dit? Puis ça satisferait M. Burroughs.
Absolument, M. Moiner.
Alors, l'amendement qu'il faudrait faire, ce n'est pas nécessairement mais ça serait de refléter ça. Do we agree that that's what we see? Little hen house with the run area outside, fenced in, but that the lot itself doesn't have to be fenced in. It's the same situation as having a dog on a leash tied to a building or something. You don't need a fence on top of that to stop him to go out, unless he breaks his chain every once in a while, and then we get the bylaw officer involved. Is this what we're seeing? Do we need to amend this if we want to pass the resolution tonight?
So I believe in the bylaw that we brought forward to council, there is a requirement to only permit licenses on fenced yards, and so that regulation would be removed. So that it would be a resolution from council to adopt the bylaw for a pilot program for a hen program, without the need for without the restriction on issuing licenses only on fenced yards.
Is this what you proposed? Mr. Barton, is that what you seconded?
Yeah, I guess it is.
Can we have a vote on this? In favor? Against? Passed. Sorry? Item 7.1.6, Planning Report PED-03-2023, Public Consultation Results, Tiny Homes. Madame Laforêt, you're going to earn your salary
Yes,
tonight.
I am. So nice to be with you tonight, by the way. So this is a brief memo to council, providing council with our public consultation results on the issue of tiny homes. Again, the survey responses were very high, which was surprising to us that there was this much public interest in the topic. Generally speaking, and council can see like the raw survey responses, but the community, I think, was very supportive in principle of tiny homes as infill developments in residential areas, provided that there were some urban design considerations for the development to screen them and make sure they're still compatible and visually integrated into the urban areas. There was a little bit of mixed response on the idea of a pocket neighborhood. So what we've done in this one is that there's not a separate bylaw for tiny homes because the regulations for residential development and infill are incorporated into our zoning bylaw. And so we've provided some of those regulations as part of the housekeeping amendments. The idea being that we've introduced a multi-dwelling use, and that was part of the text changes within the zoning bylaw document that were highlighted. The idea being that council would still review multi-dwelling lots, so where in situations where it was like a vacant lot and we just wanted to put in tiny homes, that would be a site-specific zoning amendment application. But something similar to like an accessory dwelling unit built above a garage, or just in the form of a tiny home, would be considered a second dwelling unit. So I think what the staff report hints at is that the zoning in place is still pretty permissible in terms of tiny homes. Like there's nothing that would really prevent a property owner who wanted to install tiny homes from applying and receiving approval, because the policies are very supportive of adding residential infill in these areas. I think where the challenges are, and this is something that was highlighted in the survey responses, is that the people that have those lots with the capacity to infill are hesitant to do that until they have to. So there's a wanting to maintain their privacy, a wanting to maintain their development opportunity for their own family or for their own children. So if council wanted to see these types of developments occur, council might have to request additional information from administration in terms of grant funding or ways that we could do like public awareness or more marketing around this types of housing and trying to get people more interested in building it on their own property. So again, the public consultation results are there for council's review, and we've incorporated minor text changes to the zoning bylaw where we thought it was appropriate in a very minor way to accommodate these types of developments.
Thank you, Madame Laforêt. Questions? Monsieur Roy?
Je reviens encore avec mon développement au niveau de la seigneurie, par exemple, où tu construis une maison qui a une valeur d'au-delà d'1 million de dollars, puis ton voisin arrive avec 2 tiny house qui vient réduire ta valeur de ta maison que tu viens de construire. Donc, je pense qu'on devrait aller de façon prudente là-dedans aussi, parce qu'il y a des gens qui peuvent payer le prix à ce niveau-là. On a peut-être des endroits où on pourrait installer quelques-unes de ces maisons-là, mais le permettre at large, je sens qu'on pourrait avoir des problèmes avec des gens qui ont payé des gros prix pour des maisons.
Madame Laforêt?
Oui. Je peux peut-être donner d'autres commentaires par rapport à des contextes comme ça. La seigneurie, par exemple, c'est un projet de lotissement qui est sur des services privés. Fait que la direction du ministère par rapport à la promotion des deuxièmes logements, des logements secondaires ou des logements additionnels à la maison unifamiliale, c'est vraiment dirigé pour nous dans notre interprétation à des milieux urbains où on a des services, où c'est plus facile de se raccorder puis de faire un développement. Dans la seigneurie, ça serait difficile de faire plus qu'un logement accessoires. Qu'est-ce qu'on voit dernièrement, comme j'ai mentionné, c'est qu'on le voit que ça fait partie de la conceptualisation de le projet d'implantation. Fait que le monde vont le faire une fois qu'ils font leur permis pour construire, vont se faire un in ensuite tout de suite. C'est très difficile de le voir pour des projets pour une maison existante. Le monde ne va pas vraiment se lancer dans ça s'ils ne font pas la construction en même temps.
Je comprends ce que vous dites, puis je ne suis pas contre l'idée des petites maisons. C'est juste que faut prévoir à ce niveau-là. Puis peut-être que ça ne sera pas le cas, mais juste par précaution, il faudrait faire attention.
Je comprends, oui.
Merci, M. Roy. Mr. Barton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Essentially asked one of my questions. I guess my second question for Madame Lafrey would be, are there fences involved in this too? Never mind, I removed my question. Thank you, Mr. Roy.
Any other questions on this subject? Allison?
So the resolution reads, be it resolved that Planning Department report number PED-03-2023 regarding tiny homes public consultation results be received and filed.
I need a proposer and a seconder. Monsieur Barton, Madame Bigelow. Discussions? In favor? Against? Passed. Item 7.1.7, Temporary Heritage Advisory Committee. Madame Laforêt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is simply a memo to council indicating that we've prepared a bylaw for a heritage advisory committee to support the township with the preparation of a heritage inventory. From what we got from the last conversation in council, council very much wanted this to be a project-based committee, and so it will be formed for the sole purpose of preparing a heritage inventory. We simply wanted council to move forward with the bylaw so that we can appoint and go seek members of the committee. So the bylaw just provides, or the staff report simply provides our anticipated committee composition and requests that council give us the authority to go and fill the positions.
Thank you.
Be it resolved that planning report number PED-04-2023 regarding a temporary heritage advisory committee be received, and that bylaw 2023-59 being a bylaw to establish the terms of reference for a Champlain Heritage Advisory Committee be brought forward for adoption. And be it further resolved that council direct administration to advertise committee positions for the Heritage Advisory Committee and bring forward recommendations for resident and community appointments.
Thank you, Madame Collard. Need a proposer, Mr. Duval. Seconded, Mr. Barton. Questions? Monsieur Roy?
I just need clarification on the sentence where it says that once the 1 or 2 year period is complete, the administration will return to council with a list and recommendations. So what do you mean by recommendation? Because I thought this was only strictly putting up a list.
I think the intention of the report was to make sure that we report back to council once the project's complete. In terms of options like a walking tour or, go and do additional recording of the site or engage property owners somehow. There's a suite of options based on the size of the inventory and, what types of things that the committee is looking for. And I think it was just my envision to finalize the reporting process and bring that list back to council at the end.
Thank you, Madame Laforêt. Any other questions? In favor? Passed. Adoptions of planning bylaws. 7.2.1, I'll let you go ahead with the bylaw.
Be it resolved that the third reading and final passage be granted bylaw 2023-51, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2000-75 for La Ferme Tabouette, file Z-04-2023.
Proposed by Monsieur Lalonde, seconded by Madame Bigelow. Questions? In favor? Oh. Read the third time. Favor? Thank you. Passed. 7.2.2, Madame Collard.
Be it resolved that two readings be granted bylaw 2023-55, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2000-75 for Wilson, file Z-05-2023.
Proposed by Monsieur Barton, seconded by Madame Clement. Questions? In favor?
Read the first time. Yeah, and the second time.
That one is just the third time? Two.
First and second.
Read the first time? Favor? Read the second time? Favor? Thank you. By the time I learn it, I won't need it. Which one do we? Madame Collard, next one, please.
Be it resolved that two readings be granted bylaw 2023-55, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2000-75, housekeeping amendments.
Proposed by Mr. Duval, supported by Mr. Arroy. So this is the two readings. First reading, in favor? Thank you. Second reading, in favor? Passed. 7.2.4.
Be it resolved that three readings and final passage be granted bylaw 2023-57, being a bylaw to designate road widening as public highway, which is on Green Lane Road.
So this one has three readings. So who is proposed by Madame Bigelow, seconded by Mr. Duval. Question, Mr. Barton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just maybe a housekeeping issue, but the bylaw itself in the now therefore be it enacted section, subsection 2, refers to the project as Pendleton Street. I think maybe that's not correct.
Apologies, this typo.
First reading in favor? Second reading in favor? Third reading in favor? Passed. Item 7.2.5.
Be it resolved that three readings and final passage be granted bylaw 2023-58, being a bylaw to authorize and confirm the acquisition of an easement over the lands municipally known as 71 Derby Avenue for a municipal utility water line.
So this is for three readings also. Resolution or proposed by Madame Bigelow, seconded by Mr. Duval. First reading in favor. Second reading in favor. Third reading in favor. Approved. Item 7.2.6. establish, oh, sorry, Madam Collard.
Be it resolved that 3 readings and final passage be granted bylaw 2023-59, being a bylaw to appoint a Heritage Advisory Committee for the purpose of creating a municipal heritage inventory.
Thank you. So again, for 3 readings, I need a proposer. Madame Bigelow, Monsieur Lalonde. In favor, first reading, second reading, third reading. Thank you. 7.2.7.
Be it resolved that 3 readings and final passage be granted bylaw 2023-60, we'll say as amended, being a bylaw to implement a pilot program for the keeping of hens within residential areas of the township.
Thank you, Madame Collard. I need a proposer and a seconder. Proposed by Mr. Burrows, seconded by Mr. Lalonde. 3 readings, first reading in favor, second reading in favor, third reading approved. At this point, I would rather see the mayor speaking, but he isn't here tonight. So I think we should, I think the guy's name was Howard Greeley, who said one time, "Go west, young man." I hope I could slap him around a little bit. Madame Laforêt, we're really, I personally, and I've heard from council tonight, very sorry to see you go. We can't stop progress and going back to what you knew before you came down here. It will be very difficult for you, I don't know, but for us to forget your passing here because you've done a lot. And I want everybody to be aware of the fact that the decision to go was your own, not ours. Anybody else want to add anything at this point? Madame Bigelow?
A big thank you for everything that, don't do that. You had a lot of vision for Champlain, and we're sad to see you go. I don't know why I'm so emotional, but you did a really good thing here, and you should be very proud for everything that you did.
Thank you, Madame Bigelow. Anybody else want to cry? Monsieur Roy.
Je tiens à te remercier. Tu as été excessivement compétente, puis je te souhaite bonne chance à l'avenir. Puis si jamais tu n'aimes pas ça dans l'Ouest, ben écoute, tu peux toujours revenir.
Madame Clément?
Moi aussi, je te souhaite bonne chance, puis avec ta famille, puis bon courage.
Thank you, Council. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with all of you. I consider you not just council, but your colleagues and friends. So I wish you all the best, and it's been an absolute honor working for you. Thanks.
Thank you very, very much. Good luck. I think we can all applaud. Life goes on. Administration none. Finance 7.4.1 accounts. Madame Collard.
Be it resolved that the accounts paid and as presented by the Treasurer on September 28th, 2023 be received and filed.
Thank you. Who wants to spend the money? Mr. Duval. Seconded by Mr. Lalonde. In favor? Passed. 7.5.1 Fire Department.
Be it resolved that the monthly fire department report for August 2023, as submitted by the Director of Fire Services, be received and filed.
Proposed, Madame Bigelow, seconded by Mr. Roy. Questions? Mr. Barton?
More of a statement, Mr. Chair. Just to thank the fire chief. I think in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of questions about community involvement from our volunteer firefighters in events that fall outside of the scope of an emergency, but in supporting their community, and there's some concern there. But I definitely noticed this summer repeated opportunities where both firefighters from Van Clequila and Lorgnal attended community events and participated and made them better, and that's why this is such a beautiful area of the world to live in, is that we have excellent events going on and we have good people participating in them. So I can't believe Jennifer's leaving us on that note, but thank you to the fire chief for ensuring that our firefighters continue to have the opportunity to participate in those events.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. Monsieur Roy?
Juste pour clarification, là, pour peut-être moi en savoir un peu plus, je vois qu'il revient souvent MVA Extrication, qui est Motor Vehicle Accident Extrication, j'imagine. Moi, dans ma tête, ce que ça veut dire, c'est qu'on arrive avec des scies, puis on enlève le toit ou quelque chose de genre. Mais ça se peut quasiment pas que ce soit ça, parce qu'il y en a comme régulièrement. Est-ce que c'est ça que vous faites? Parce que ça prend juste 1 heure, puis je suis pas clair sur ce que c'est vraiment cette description-là.
Bonne question, M. Roy, merci. Le rapport est fait sur les appels qu'on a, l'appel original. Comme ça, il faut comprendre que quand l'OPP ou l'ambulance transfère l'appel au service d'incendie, c'est ça qui est la demande. C'est pour ça qu'on dispatche les unités sur la scène. Ça ne veut pas dire qu'à chaque fois qu'on sort les mâchoires de vie, Jaws of Life, puis qu'on fait de l'extrication, mais c'est l'appel qui est généré initialement.
Merci pour la clarification. Je suis plus instruit.
D'autres questions sur le rapport du département des feux? Alors, une proposition? Proposée par?
Councillor Bigelow and Councillor Hall.
Le vote. En faveur? Passed. Parks and Recreation, 7.6.
Be it resolved that the monthly Parks and Recreation Department report for August 2023, as submitted by the Director of Parks and Recreation, be received and filed.
Proposé par M. Duval, appuyé de M. Barton. Question, discussion? M. Barton?
If you'll permit me again, Mr. Chair, another point of personal privilege. Again, a similar note to thank Madame Collard for the effort she obviously put into the float that participated in the parade for the Van Clequila Fair. I mean, you did it all on your own, I think, with very little help from this side of the table, and all in an effort just to help us look good, that when we participated and we attended, that we looked professional, and we really appreciate it. It was obviously noted by the community, and I had another number of people reach out to me to say how nice our float was this year, and so thank you to you and your staff that put time and effort into it. That type of thing's noticed, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. Any other questions? Madame Collard, did you want to say anything about the arena? Everything okay? Everything's fine?
So far, so good. We're almost there. Teams, groups, kids, parents, everyone's really happy to be back. We were able to open, and we got a partial occupancy. So we're still waiting on a few items like the glass in the bleachers to come in. So within the next few weeks, a month, there's going to be some big changes, and hopefully we'll be done.
Thank you. So vote in favor? Passed. Public Works Department, 7.7, 7.7.1, Public Works Monthly Report.
Be it resolved that the monthly Public Works Department report for August 2023, as submitted by the Director of Public Works, be received and filed.
Proposed. Madame Bigelow, seconded. Madame Clément. Questions, comments? Madame Clément?
Bon, là, c'est mon tour à moi de dire, Sébastien, merci pour le domaine. C'est beau, les gens sont heureux. On reçoit juste des fleurs à ce moment. Merci beaucoup.
Fait plaisir.
Merci, Madame Clément. Any other comment? The vote in favor?
I don't have a mover and seconder, I did not record it.
Sorry. If I remember right, it was proposed by Madame Bigelow and Madame Clément.
I'm sorry.
So again, I'm sorry. In favor? Passed. 7.7.2, Public Works Report, PWD-2023-18, River Lane Sanitary Sewage Backups. Monsieur Devite.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We were asked to, Public Works was asked to go back and review the recommendations that were made by EVB and gather some more data, which we did. First of all, we were able to identify what the overflow height would need to be so that we can ensure that there will not be any more backups on River Lane. It happens to be 2 meters lower than what it is right now. So we're currently at 46.5, actually a little less than 2 meters, and we'd have to be at 44.65 meters. We did a study on that to, with the help of Aqua to try to identify whether if we go down to the lower height of overflow, how it would actually impact the number of overflows we would have in the Ottawa River. It would have gone from 2 to 8 in a 2.5-year period. And we were able to show that it would be an average of 0.28% more effluent that would be in the river. However, the MECP does allow municipalities, we try not to do it, but we are allowed up to a 10% overflow maximum, where we currently have an average of about 0.5% over the last 6 years. So with this additional, we would go still less than 1%. We're still good. We're still actually quite good compared to a lot of other townships and municipalities. Plus, we are doing things to try to improve the situation, and we will continue to do so. So I'm sure that number will go down with time. So in this report, we're actually asking council to give us or instruct Public Works to proceed with the ECA amendment application with the MECP so that we can actually lower the overflow, and also recommend that we make the modification internally. We've estimated that the cost is actually quite low at $2,000 to do so if we do it internally, which is great news. Plus, with the money we've already spent on the engineering study, we're looking at less than $10,000 to have this solution implemented, which I think is great considering the amount of heartache and troubles that the constituents on River Lane have gone through since 2014. So for me, it appears as something that we should recommend very strongly. In terms of what else we need to do, in terms of the I&I, the inflow and infiltration, for infiltration, we're already doing a lot of work in Vankleekil and in Lorignal. What we do is we take sections of each one of these towns. We'll take about a sixth of a given town, let's say La Réunion, and we'll do some CCTV inspections, and we will look at all the piping. And if we find any breakage, then we identify that. And what we've been doing is the year after, we will come up with a plan to fix as many of these breakages as we can, the ones that have a big impact. So this year we fixed so far 4 of these breakages. We have 2 more we're going to fix for a total of $35,000 to repair these problems. And what that is doing is it's putting less infiltration of storm water into our sanitary sewers, which is exactly what we want to do, because otherwise we're processing clean water, or some people will call it gray water, but we're processing rainwater basically. So we will continue to do this infiltration work at about $30,000 a year in cost, operating costs. And what we're proposing is for other inflow and infiltration potential solutions. We want to keep doing some studies on that. We're going to be working with the CBO to try to find out how many people are currently connected to both storm and sanitary, to sanitary with their storm, which is called combined sewers, which they are not supposed to, and we have a bylaw that says so. So we want to do some sort of I guess a survey on homes where there's going to be applications for permits. So they'll be able to go and take that look and give us a number in 6 months so that we know what are we looking at. Is it 50% of people that are connected that shouldn't be? Or is it more? Is it less? And is it worth it for us to go down that route? So that's one thing that we're going to be looking at, but there's other avenues that we want to look at and propose. So in the future, we would propose a report that would give more solutions. So essentially, this is what the whole report englobed, and hopefully Council will approve that we proceed with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Monsieur Levesque. Madame Collard.
Be it resolved that PWD report, Public Works Report, PWD 2023-18, dated September 28, 2023, regarding River Lane sanitary sewage backup issue, be received and filed. Be it further resolved that Council instructs Public Works to apply with the MECP for an amendment to the ECA of the King Street sewage pumping station for lowering the overflow limit. Be it further resolved that Council approves that Public Works perform the modification to the overflow to enable a quick change from current to revised overflow levels. Council instructs the CBO to enforce the sump pump bylaw. Be it further resolved that Council advises Public Works to continue infiltration repairs on sanitary sewage network using current method of CCTV and identification and budgeting repairs for the following year, with primary focus on reducing infiltration affecting the King Street pumping station. Be it further resolved that Council mandates Public Works to bring forth a report in 2024 to look at other options for I&I reductions for the L'Orignal sanitary system, and approves that Public Works perform the modification to the overflow to enable a quick change from current to revised overflow levels.
Thank you, Madame Collard. Proposed by Monsieur Duval.
Could you repeat it?
I can. I did translate it.
Appuyé de Monsieur Roy. Question, discussion, Monsieur Roy.
Juste question de clarification, là. Quand on parle de overflow, je comprends qu'on est bien en deçà de ce que le ministère exige, là. L'overflow, c'est-tu l'eau pluviale ou c'est les sources? C'est quoi au juste qui va être l'overflow?
L'overflow, c'est pour le système sanitaire. Fait que c'est qu'est-ce qu'on ne veut pas envoyer à la rivière. On le fait à chaque année, malheureusement. Puis on doit aviser le ministère quand on le fait à chaque fois. Puis on prend des échantillons pour voir qu'est-ce qu'on a envoyé, puis combien qu'on a envoyé. Fait que c'est ça l'overflow. Fait que notre but, c'est... Je pense qu'au ministère, une des choses qu'ils font, c'est qu'ils veulent... Dans le passé, ils voulaient s'assurer qu'on n'envoyait pas d'overflow. À un moment donné, ils ont réalisé que si tu n'envoies pas d'overflow, tu l'envoies chez le résident à place, comme des sewer backup. Fait qu'ils ont décidé que le plus important, c'était les sewer backup dans les résidences. Puis après ça, c'est essayer de réduire le overflow qui s'en va à la rivière. Fait que c'est un peu l'approche qu'on essaie de prendre aussi.
Peut-être juste un autre point, juste encore pour clarification. Vous avez mentionné que l'officier de réglementation va faire une vérification, mais il y a 2 points qui me chatouillent. Un, on a dit que c'est si les gens demandent un permis, on peut rentrer à l'intérieur, mais vous avez aussi parlé que dans 6 mois, il y aurait un rapport qui va dire si c'est 50% des gens qui utilisent ce système-là. Alors, il n'y a pas sûrement tout le monde qui va demander des permis. Alors, est-ce qu'on rentre uniquement dans le cas des permis? Puis si c'est le cas, on parle juste de quelques résidences qu'on va avoir de l'information et non la moitié du village, c'est ça?
C'est un échantillonnage, effectivement. Ça peut être un échantillonnage de 10 personnes, 10 maisons, 20 maisons. On fait une grosse assumption à ce temps-là que ça va être représentatif de tout le monde, mais en ce moment, on n'a pas de données. Puis, si on était pour adopter d'aller dans toutes les maisons puis de l'enforcer, on pense que ça risque de ne pas être populaire. Fait que c'est une des premières choses. Puis, l'autre point, c'est que c'est-tu l'infiltration qui cause le plus de problèmes ou l'inflow? L'inflow, c'est quand on connecte le storm dans le sanitaire. Fait que c'est lequel? En ce moment, on ne peut pas le dire. Fait qu'avec l'infiltration, on fait déjà des choses. On a déjà arrangé entre le sewage pumping station puis River Lane. On a tout refait l'intérieur des pipings avec qu'est-ce qu'on appelle du cured in place piping. Puis, on s'attend que ça va avoir un impact. On n'a pas eu tout l'impact qu'on voulait, mais on a eu un impact déjà, on le sait. Fait que là, on veut attendre d'avoir plus de données avant de devenir un petit peu plus rigide dans l'application du bylaw, qui va demander un gros investissement aux personnes s'ils veulent se reconnecter. C'est pour ça.
Monsieur Burroughs?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Ma question, ça serait à M. Gauthier. Votre autorité pour rentrer dans les maisons, là, c'est seulement pour les permis que vous allez aller? Parce que les maisons qui sont existantes, est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec moi que vous rentrez on consent, puis vous pouvez obtenir soit des mandats, des ordonnances de la Cour pour le faire, mais il faudrait que vous faites ça pour chacun des maisons. Puis la question est, est-ce que vous allez l'avoir aussi? Pour vous développer vos motifs, est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec moi là-dessus?
Je suis d'accord avec le fait que quand on va émettre un permis ou ce qu'on prend une maison qui est sur les services municipaux, on va faire la vérification. Pour les autres maisons, on ne s'est pas fait dire qu'on allait de l'avant avec ça. Puis Kevin, quand j'ai parlé avec Kevin, avec M. Tessier, il m'a dit que si on était pour prendre la position d'aller dans d'autres maisons, qui étaient pour passer un communiqué aux maisons, les avertissant qu'on était pour faire cette recherche-là. Comme c'est là, je n'ai pas été demandé de faire ça. On fait nos vérifications aux maisons où ils ont obtenu un permis avec nous autres, que ce soit pour un deck, une rénovation dans la maison. On met les pieds là, on va leur demander poliment si on peut aller vérifier la connexion ou le branchement de leur eau pluviale.
Ma deuxième question, si vous demandez permission de rentrer, vous vous faites dire « non, tu ne rentres pas », qu'est-ce que vous faites?
Je vais le rapporter au conseil, je vais le rapporter avec Kevin. J'ai pas pensé à cette avenue-là encore. Je vais leur expliquer clairement que c'est une vérification, qu'on a un bail là. C'est écrit dans le bail là qu'ils n'ont pas le droit de faire ça. Puis probablement, on va leur émettre on peut tout de bien leur émettre un ordre disant qu'on doit vérifier ça. Parce que là, le fait qu'ils vont nous refuser accès, c'est qu'on va avoir un bon doute que peut-être qu'il y a une connexion illégale. Probablement, on va aller à ça, mais ça va être une affaire que je discuterai avec Kevin. Voir si quelle position qu'ils veulent comprendre là-dessus.
Merci, M. Gauthier.
Monsieur Lalonde?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'est une question pour Jacques aussi. Ben, c'est bien un commentaire. Le building Kodak, il stipule clairement que si ça prend un permis de construction pour faire de la plomberie, right? Je pense que le building Kodak stipule clairement aussi que si un building inspector soupçonne qu'il y a de la construction illégale, il a le droit de rentrer avec un mandat, right?
De la question de M. Burroughs, c'était pas si il y avait de la construction, il m'a demandé si, comme j'ai dit, si le gars il fait un deck, je demande d'aller voir la ville. C'est pas parce qu'il fait de la construction dans la cave où il y a de la plomberie. C'est certain que si le projet, c'est de rénover sa salle de bain, relocaliser une salle de bain, relocaliser une cuisine, on va avoir accès au sous-sol, puis on va avoir accès à ces points-là. Moi, j'ai dit tout à l'heure, si mettons, la personne prend un permis de rénovation, changer le revêtement extérieur, on va demander d'aller en bas. J'ai pas de soupçon qu'il y a une construction à l'intérieur, mais je demande poliment, je peux-tu aller voir ta connexion?
Oui, ça, je suis d'accord, mais moi, ce que je veux dire, c'est si on voudrait avoir un pouvoir de rentrer à l'intérieur de la maison, on ne peut pas soupçonner qu'il y a de la construction, qu'il y a eu de la plomberie illégale de fait, parce que s'il y a de la plomberie qui est connectée sur le système d'égout, c'est pas illégal, ça.
Oui, mais pour commencer, on deal avec un bailleur municipal, on ne deal pas avec le building Kodak, là. C'est le bailleur municipal qui va me donner l'autorité d'aller vérifier la connexion illégale du pluvial dans le sanitaire. C'est le bailleur municipal, on ne parle pas du code du bâtiment. Là.
Mais le bailleur municipal, il peut quand même dire, le bailleur municipal, il peut dire, il peut refuser l'inspecteur de rentrer. Tandis que le building Kodak, il ne peut pas. On a dit tantôt que si le propriétaire il dit non, tu ne rentres pas, bien tu ne rentres pas.
Je suis pas sûr que je comprends la question, là.
OK, moi, je veux juste essayer de comprendre. Je pense qu'on peut avoir un pouvoir de rentrer à l'intérieur de la maison en soupçonnant qu'on a de la plomberie illégale. Puis ça, on est appuyé par le Ontario Building Code.
Entièrement d'accord avec toi, mais comme c'est là, on va y aller avec le bail-là, puis le bail-là dit tu n'as pas le droit d'envoyer ton pluvial dans le sanitaire. C'est de là qu'on va prendre notre autorité et on va leur demander la permission si on peut aller là. Si on le refuse, là, on va avoir un doute. On va leur dire, bien écoute, là, on va te couper l'eau. Je ne sais pas quel moyen de pression qu'on va utiliser. On va te couper l'eau. On veut aller voir ça. Il va falloir que j'étudie la façon le plus poliment possible de demander accès au sous-sol.
OK. Puis, juste une autre question. Le smoke test existe encore, ça, pour savoir si il y a de la plomberie illégale?
Oui, ça existe encore. Sauf que j'ai l'impression, je sais que sur King Street, on ne l'a pas utilisé parce qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup de... comment ils appellent ça? Les gutters. Il n'y a pas beaucoup de gutters sur les maisons. Fait que on était sous l'impression que si on faisait le test, le smoke test, on allait emboucaner à la maison, mais pas nécessairement le savoir à moins que quelqu'un sorte en toussant, là, mais on n'allait pas nécessairement le savoir qu'il y avait un problème. On le verrait pas. C'est pour ça qu'il n'a pas été fait. Fait que, est-ce qu'on pourrait le faire ailleurs où il y en a des gutters? Possiblement.
Mais qu'est-ce que tu veux dire par un gutter?
Les gutters sur le toit, roof gutters.
Moi, j'ai fait le tour, moi aussi, puis j'ai remarqué qu'il n'y avait pas gros qui s'en allait dans la terre.
Non.
Bien, merci.
Merci.
D'autres questions? Alors, le vote en faveur? C'est unanime. Passe. Monsieur Menard? Je suis content pour vous.
OK. Bien, vous m'avez répondu, là. C'est environ 2 mètres.
Je ne voulais pas partir à une discussion. Là. Vous pouvez peut-être contacter M. Levesque un autre tantôt, poser des questions, M. Menard. Ce n'était pas un meeting public. Je voulais juste dire, bien, je suis content pour vous, dans River Lane, qu'on va régler le problème. Est-ce que vous pourriez refermer le micro, s'il vous plaît? Merci beaucoup. J'ai sauté un item à l'item 7.3, Snow Removal Policy. Monsieur Duval?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I met with the CEO and the Public Work Department, and I would like them to prepare a policy regarding snow removal in front of the churches in Vaucluse and Lorngal. Yep.
This is vous faites une proposition?
Yes, a motion to...
Okay, motion, okay. Seconded by? Mr. Barton. Est-ce que vous pourriez, could you elaborate a little bit, please?
Yep. Last year, when there's funerals or something like that, and there's streets weren't clean, I was getting calls. They call me at 10:30, the funeral's at 11 o'clock. There's not much I could do. So if we have a policy or procedure to say, like, in 2 days there's going to be a funeral, have the snow removal, it gives us time to do it, and it's in front of the churches.
Monsieur Roy?
Est-ce qu'on parle uniquement des stationnements ou de la route?
The parking in front of the churches. Just when there's a funeral, like during the week, or... It doesn't happen very often, but...
Mais exemple, à Lorgnal, il y a un stationnement en arrière, donc on ne parle pas du stationnement, on parle de la route, sur la rue. Parfait.
Madame Bigelow?
Monsieur Levesque, was there some times last year where the snow was so bad, our drivers were out for so long, we ended up having to take the drivers off of the road? That's ministry governed, right? That's not us. So I'm not quite sure how this bylaw would work or recommendation would work going forward if we absolutely legally can't put drivers on the road.
I'm sorry, I don't think we were talking about a bylaw. We're talking about a policy, which would be something that we establish and we let the parishes know so that they let us know and so on.
Again, though, if we don't have any drivers able to go out to do it, yeah.
Monsieur Levesque?
So, excellent point, Sarah. If that were the case, then there would be a delay in the service offered. I think that the funeral might be delayed anyway, if there's that much snow out. But the way that I've heard it was done, it may have been done in the past by James, was that he would get notified at least 2 days in advance, and we would require the same thing, is to have a notification in advance as much as possible. And we would plan to have somebody try to go and do that. If it's not possible, again, because of circumstances, we won't do it, or we'll do it later. But we'll try to offer the service if we can.
Monsieur Roy?
Il me semble qu'on commence à réglementer un paquet de trucs qui ça n'existait pas dans le passé. Là. Des tempêtes, ça existe, puis je vois pas pourquoi tout d'un coup il faut qu'on commence à réglementer pour s'assurer que ça soit déblayé. Si on déblaye là, il y a plein de neige ailleurs, ils vont-ils pouvoir sortir de leur cours pour aller? Je comprends pas pourquoi il faut commencer à réglementer à ce niveau-là.
Si je comprends bien la requête, moi, ça serait, même, je ne sais pas si on a besoin d'une résolution, on peut donner une instruction à l'administration. Il reste que, je crois que ce qu'on va faire, c'est envoyer une notice à toutes les paroisses leur disant de nous aviser une couple de jours d'avance pour une funéraille, pour qu'on soit prêt puis qu'on mette un peu plus d'attention sur le bord de la rue où c'est qu'ils sont. Est-ce que c'est ça qu'on veut avoir? C'est aussi simple comme ça. C'est pas, on les oblige pas. S'ils ne nous appellent pas, ils ne nous appellent pas. Mais il ne faudrait pas qu'ils se plaignent, par exemple, s'il y a une funéraille puis qu'on n'est pas allé, bien, on nettoie quand même d'habitude. Mais puis en plus de ça, bien, I totally agree. If the guys can't go out, they can't go out. But usually, that's after they've been so many hours on the road, and like the superintendent says, we won't be, the funeral is just not going to happen. So I think it's just a matter of installing a program where we advise the parishes to advise us a couple of days ahead when there is. And then we can pay attention. I think that's all there is. It's a policy. It's not a bylaw, as far as I understand. Okay. Do we still need to vote on this? Would you rather have a vote to install that, Mr. Levesque?
What we could do is I could probably just come up with a policy and bring it to council, and council can decide to go ahead with it or not.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So that'll come back at the, okay. So we don't need to pass it.
I think the instruction should be a motion, yes.
Okay. Well, we have a motion, and it was seconded by Mr. Barton. Did you have a question? No. So we go to the vote, please. In favor? Against? Passed. Building, 7.8.1, Chief Building Inspector.
Be it resolved that the monthly Building Department report for August 2023 as submitted by the Chief Building Official be received and filed.
Proposer, Madame Bigelow, seconded by Mr. Burrows. In favor? Passed. 7.9.1, Bylaw of Enforcement.
Be it resolved that the monthly Bylaw Enforcement Department report for August 2023 as submitted by the Bylaw Enforcement Officer be received and filed.
Proposed by Madame Clement, seconded by Mr. Duval. In favor? Passed. 7.10, Communications and Community Development.
Be it resolved that the monthly Communications and Community Development report for August 2023 as submitted by the Communications Specialist be received and filed.
Proposed by Madame Bigelow, seconded by Mr. Lalonde. Sorry, 7.11.1, daycare services.
Be it resolved that the monthly Daycare Services report for August 2023 as submitted by the Director of Daycare Services be received and filed.
Proposed by Monsieur Duval, seconded by Mr. Leroy. In favor? Against? Passed. 7.12, drainage.
Be it resolved that the report for the month of August 2023, as submitted by the Drainage Superintendent, be received and filed.
Proposed by Madame Bigelow, seconded by Mr. Lalonde. In favor? Passed. Monsieur Roy?
Juste une question. Est-ce qu'on peut permettre aux employés qui ont déjà soumis leur rapport de quitter, parce qu'il est quand même 8 heures, puis ils sont ici depuis tôt ce matin là, au travail? Je ne sais pas si vous permettez que ceux qui ont terminé pourraient partir.
Très bonne suggestion. Je n'ai pas vu de nom autour de la table. Alors, thank you very much for your presence.
Bon, de Jennifer.
Ouais, Jennifer la garde.
Jennifer, elle reste, mais
Excuse, on va juste on va aller à library. Alors, j'ai le recycling avant, là, je vais aller dans l'ordre 8.1, recycling.
Be it resolved that the minutes of the Joint Recycling Committee meeting of September 1st, 2023 be received and filed.
Proposé par M. Duval, appuyé de Mme Clément. En faveur? C'est passé. 8.2.
Be it resolved that the Champlain Township Public Library Board report for August 2023 and the minutes of the Champlain Township Public Library Board meeting of June 14th, 2023 be received and filed.
Proposé par M. Duval, appuyé de M. Roy. En faveur? C'est passé. Maintenant, vous pouvez partir. Ça, c'est bon. Committee of the Whole. Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Chair,
Sorry.
could we have a 2-minute recess while staff leaves? I'd like to
Yeah.
shake Jennifer's hand on the way out the door.
I was going to do it right at the camera, but we can do it now. So, report from the Committee of the Whole, there is one resolution at 8.3.1.
So it's a consent resolution for council's approval that council appoint Mayor Riopel, Councillor Duval, Kevin Tessier, the CAO and the clerk as members of the interview and selection committee for the senior planner position.
Proposed by M. Roy, appuyé de Mme Clément. En faveur? En faveur?
Non, j'ai une question.
Ah, je m'excuse. Question? Vas-y.
Is it here that I have to say that I'm resigning of being in the committee for the selection and giving my power to Sarah? This is what.
To change the resolution, yes.
Okay. For when we're going to select the planner. Remember now? you. So.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chair, my understanding is Mr. Duval and the mayor were the ones selected to that committee? So his resignation is duly accepted. We can drive on.
So, in favor? Passed. Recreation trail, none. Monsieur Duval?
About the recreation trail, you're on the committee, Andre? There's some to report. Do we report it to you? Do we report? Okay, well, I'll talk to you after the meeting.
The reason there's no report, there was no meeting in July, and the August meeting I missed because it was at the same time as this one, and last night we had the other meeting. So next month you'll have both reports.
Item 11, adoption of minutes. 11.1, minutes of the public meeting of August 24th, 2023. Minutes of regular meeting August 24th, and minutes of the Committee of the Whole.
Be it resolved that council approve the minutes of the following meetings: the public meeting August 24th, 2023, regular meeting August 24th, 2023, and the Committee of the Whole meeting September 14th, 2023, as presented.
Proposed by Mr. Burrows, seconded by Mr. Duval. In favor? Approved. Sorry. 13.1, Autism Prescott Russell request for financial support. I read that and I could see it as information, but I couldn't see if they were really asking us for money. But I suggest that we send them a letter saying that they could apply for the fall budget. Correspondence, sorry, for support resolution. First one, 14.1, Township of Severn Climate Emergency Just Transition Transfer, JTT. For file or action? File. 14.2, Maison Interlude House, request for support in declaring an epidemic of violence against women. This is a request for support. Est-ce qu'on peut lire la résolution?
Oui.
Yes, they provided us wording for a proposed resolution. It reads, be it resolved that the letter from Maison Interlude House dated September 20th, 2023 regarding violence against women be received. Be it further resolved that the Township of Champlain recognizes the issues of violence in rural communities as serious to the health and wellness of local families. Be it further resolved that the Township of Champlain declares intimate partner violence and violence against women as an epidemic.
Proposé par Mme Clément, appuyé de Mme Bigelow. Mme Clément.
J'ai été à la réunion du Conseil à Comtés-Unis hier, puis ils ont passé cette résolution. Puis pas mal toutes les autres municipalités ont aussi passé cette résolution. Ça semble être un gros problème de nos jours. C'est tout. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Merci. Alors, en faveur? C'est adopté. Correspondance pour information, il n'y en a pas. Question period, il n'y en a pas. Alors, nous sommes prêts pour la in-camera. J'aurais besoin d'une résolution pour aller à huis clos. Proposé par M. Duval, appuyé de M. Roy. En faveur? Merci. Alors, nous allons nous absenter quelque temps et revenir en assemblée pour les décisions s'il y en a. Merci. Welcome back. So, 18.1, Madame Collard.
Sorry. The resolution is that council instructs administration to issue an RFP for general insurance and risk management and prepare an in-house evaluation of all the submissions.
Thank you. Proposed by Monsieur Roy, seconded by Monsieur Lalonde. In favor? Against? Passed. So, confirm next meeting, Committee of the Whole, October 12th, if required, and the regular meeting of October 26, 2023. Confirming bylaw 20.1. Madame.
Be it resolved that 3 readings and final passage be given bylaw 2023-61, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting of September 28th, 2023.
Proposed by Madame Clément, appuyée de Monsieur Duval. First reading. In favor? Second reading? Third reading? Passed. I need a resolution for adjournment. Proposed. Adjournment, Madame Bigelow. Monsieur Barton. In favor? Passed. Thank you, everybody.